Morning, everyone. Today is Zayin Adar, as we mentioned, the birthday and Yortzeit of Moshe Rabbeinu. Dedicate today's class in honor of Zalman's mother's Yortzeit, which her name is Yehudis Bas Yaakov and Neshama Sheva Aliyah. And in today's lesson, there's no greater joy than the liberation of one's spirit, specifically the godly soul that's in a gullus. So when we connect to Hashem, we're taking it out of that gullus because we're removing it from selfishness, from ego, from the confines within the body and bringing it closer to Hashem. We're on page 94 in Yechayenu. This, as we were talking about yesterday, getting the soul out of the gullus that it's in. This should be one's lifelong aim in the avodah, the service of Hashem, that he should be very, very happy and joyous. The joy of simchas hanefesh b'tzeiso me'aguf. Hamesoyev v'shava el beis aviha kinureha b'shas ha'teira v'avodah. He's removing the soul from the loathsome body and returning it to Torah study and service of Hashem through davening, through unity with Hashem that he enjoyed before it descended into the body. This is what our sages are teaching us, that one should engage in tshuva throughout his life, because when you tashuv, when you return that to Hashem, that brings you the ultimate joy. So what does a person want in life? At the end of the day, yes, family, friends, you want to be happy. Everybody's always striving to figure out how to be happy. So there's temporary happiness, eating an ice cream, doing something fun. And then there's the joy that permeates your whole entire body. And that's really the simcha shel Torah, simcha shel mitzvah. The simcha is why is it sparking such joy? Because it's bringing your soul back to its source. And you can't describe that in words. It's really unbelievable. There's no greater joy as great as that of being released from exile and captivity. If you're thrown in prison or jail or a dungeon or being held captive, all those what do they call it? The hostages that were kidnapped and held in dungeons and tunnels, dark and filthy, not knowing if they were going to die that day. Certainly they were starving. Certainly they were beaten. And then one day they're let out. They go back to they're free. They're free to do whatever they want. It's incomparable. Now imagine the joy of a prince who was taken captive and was subject to hard labor, turning a millstone while covered in filth. And then he goes free to the house of his father. Who's his father here? The King of Kings. The Eibishter. That's where your soul gets to go when it gets released from the captivity. The body remains loathsome and despicable, as the Zohar says. It's called the serpent skin. The essential character of the animal soul has not been transformed to good, so that it might be absorbed into the realm of holiness. Yet mikol makoim tikar nafshe be'einav lismayach v'simcha se'yosem ha'guf hanivzeh shlei la'arbev ulevalvel simcha ha'nefesh be'itzvay naguf. Yet let his divine soul be more precious to him than his loathsome body, so that he rejoices in the soul's joy at this liberation through the observance of Torah and mitzvahs from the exile of the body, without letting the sadness on the account of the lowly state of his body interfere with or disturb the joy of the soul. What you might say is it's only temporary. The neshama reconnects with Hashem. You're going back into the dungeon the minute you snap out of that blissful experience with your soul, and you have to start all over again the next day. Okay, don't let that bother you. Right now, connect with Hashem. Feel that energy and rejoice in reconnecting. This this form of divine service, when the divine soul breaks free of its exile within the body, while the animal soul remains in their lowly state, then what happens? It says, Ki barach ha'am, the people escaped. When the Yidden left Mitzrayim, the Jewish people left Egypt. The Jews told Paro that they would leave Egypt for only 3 days. But upon being released from his land, they escaped. First, it seems strange. Lama haisa kazais. Why was it like this? Had they demanded of Paro that he set them free forever, he would not have been forced to do so. No, I'm sorry. Let me. It's a question. I didn't read the end. Had they demanded of Paro that he set them free forever, would he have not been forced to do so, having been stricken by the plagues? He's already so beaten down and so stricken by all these 10 plagues that by then he would have said, "Get out of here, go." Why do they have to say only 3 days? Al Rebbe explains that the answer lies in the spiritual aspect of Yetzias Mitzrayim, and that was reflected in its physical counterpart. Just as every event in Jewish history reflects a parallel in the spiritual process. Elo, Ibnei Shahara, Shebenafshis, Yisrael, Adayin Haya, Besakfoi, Becholol Asmali. When the Jewish people escaped, the escape was necessary because the evil in the animal souls of the Bnei Yisrael was still raw, very strong within the left part of the heart, the seat of the animal soul. Eloi Pascha, so Amosam Ad Matan Torah. Their impurity, the impurity of Klippa, didn't leave them until they received the Torah at Har Sinai. Rak, they got Mosam, the Chefsam Haisel Etzeis Nafsham Elikis, Igolos Asetrachra, he Tumas Mitzrayim Ledavka B'Yisparech. The desire of the Jewish people, their aim, was that their godly soul leave the exile of the Sitra Achra, the impurity of Egypt, and connect to Hashem as we strive to do. Hashem uzi me'azi uma'uzi umenusi b'yayim tzara this gabi umenusi b'yayim v'hu manosli. It says, remember we said in the Maimer Uzi, my strength, right? Oiz. So it says that there is a divine service which constitutes and consists of the divine soul's escape from the impurity of the body and the animal soul. And the pasuk, where's that pasuk? I'm just curious. Yirmiyahu and Shmuel. Yirmiyahu says, Hashem is my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of my affliction. And the next pasuk, Skabi Umanusi, that Hashem is my high tower, my refuge, he's my escape. And the Exodus, the escape from Mitzrayim, exemplified the idea of escape. Lachein la'asid, shiyavid Hashem ruach, atuma min ha'aretz k'tziv, v'menusa lo yiseilechu ki hoylech lifnechem Hashem. And therefore it's written about the future redemption. And Hashem will remove the spirit of impurity from the earth, and there will therefore be no evil, and there will be no reason for a spiritual escape because there's going to be no evil. The pasuk says, which pasuk is that? From Yeshayahu. You will not go out in haste, nor go in flight, for Hashem will go before you. With Mitzrayim, it was done through haste. They ran out, for the evil was still very strong in the people's souls. And Hashem had to get them out before they were lost forever. Similarly, whenever one disregards the lowliness of his body and the animal soul, and engages in Torah and mitzvahs in order to free the divine soul from its state of galus, he affects the spiritual equivalent of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the exodus from Egypt. So the takeaway for today, reflection after brutally honest self-assessment. If I had the opportunity to free the beloved prince from incarceration and return him to his father's place, I would do so joyfully. So now think, we have the opportunity when we serve God to allow our souls to return home. And by the way, I love how it starts. When we do so, it's the greatest simcha. So if we're looking for reasons and ways to be extra joyous in the month of Adar, put your soul back where it belongs, do a mitzvah, and do teshuvah, bring your soul closer to Hashem. And as Tanya and Adar explains, that's the greatest joy a person could have in this physical world. I think your mom would enjoy that, right? Yes, shukayach.